How goes it? I am your host, Detroit Miracle, and welcome to another episode of Life. Da 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 da. That is the proper way to condition a child through growth stages of developmental. You have to condition children and people in general to live, exist, and be an inhabitant inside of this grand scheme reality that is called life. You know, like people are conditioned and raised to learn how to spell, read, write, talk, basic addition, basic subtraction. People are raised to go to school through the schooling stage of their lives, and people are conditioned to just go out and get a job and say, look, that is the next stage of your life. You go from one thing to another, and then you arrive at this, and then the next stage is your late adult stage before the elderly stage, and then after that, if you live, then you become an elder. And I think you will miss the true meaning of life that way. It's like everything is done systematic and routinely, where there is a whole bunch of people coming into being, and then they will be trained, instructed to find their way in life or have their place in society. And then when they course their way through the good and bad of society in general, then there will be a fresh new crop born to start their journey off, and then they will go on and conduct themselves in a similar fashion or facsimile thereof. That's how it is, but people in general as a whole aren't conditioned to receive life and live life and know life to the fullest. That is what I believe. And that is quite simply because it's something called progress, proficiency, in which they want things to go a certain way. Like it's a giant machine. That's one way of looking at society, like a grand scale working device. And then the people are a part of it. And then the people work their way through the intricacies and the simplicities of this grand scale built device or machine. And the machine itself is reality as they know it. They are, and then parts are always replaceable. Yeah, you can look at people as parts, and the parts are replaceable, and people are deemed expendable, not unless you're somebody who's incredibly famous or popular, then you would be not so replaceable or expendable. Yeah, yeah, folks. Another serious part of life is for people to know that there is good and bad. Yeah. And there might be some total it as well. Once Adam and Eve bit the apple, they became aware of two sides of the coin. So subsequently, and after that, there was something called bad and good, sinfulness, righteousness, wickedness, goodness, and all of that persists and continues on. But I don't necessarily buy into that. You know why? Because it's a supply and it's a demand. If it's anything around of abundance, then that means the demand is high for it. And if the demand is high for it, then the supply is there as well, which demand it, or vice versa, however you want to look at it. Folks, look how many people in the tens of millions will watch the local news every night, every day, every time without missing it. It's people that will watch the serious newses of programs consistently, whether it's the local, daily, and nightly newses, without missing those programs. So the demand for it is high. If the demand is high, then why would they want to rid the world of bad things happening? Because the people say that they want to see those bad things happening just based on them watching it every day, tens of millions being that where they tune in constantly, regularly. And if that many people is watching that, which is bad, like when you're hearing about the worst things happening, then couldn't those people empower themselves to change things, to formulate like huge types of groups and security forces to go out and patrol neighborhoods and, try to prevent as best as they possibly can? But they won't do that, because, it's a part of society. People will say, well, it's not my fault. It's not really my personal problem until it happens to me. Then when something bad happens to somebody, it's not the other person's personal problem that's looking in on that incident which has transpired and has taken place. That's how people in general will look at those. You see all of those sad stories on the news and you say, wow, that's terrible. I'm sorry that happened to them, but it's not really my problem and it didn't happen to me. But eventually it might, and then when others look on your such case where something tragic has happened, will they be sympathetic towards your blight? Ask yourself that. Plight, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that's the way I see it. I know some might say, well, how do you condition people to know life, to appreciate life, and to live life to the fullest? You know, I would say that first and foremost, in the conditioning process, all lessons that are learned aren't just to be taught in school. Like you could take your children out, take them to parks and recreational places and teach them about things, teach them about nature. Let them gain an appreciation for nature. Take them to the zoos, teach them about other animals, creatures, and species and things like that. Take them to science centers and institutes and things like that and teach them about the cosmos directly and the workings of the cosmos and things of that nature. Yeah, it's things you can do on your own to, take your children on a camping trip, let them rough it outdoors. But not me, because you can't take me anywhere there's no refrigerator. I'm not having that. Yeah, folks, like people don't realize that it's more to life than just simply your city, state, neighborhood, downtown, neighbors, communities. There are some that travel all over the world. I know everyone can't afford to take those trips. Yeah, but you can watch them on TV. You could pull them up on the internet, and watch them. Like learn about different cultures and different societies and life and things like that. Yeah, that will also help you gain an appreciation. Yeah. Well, folks, it was nice hanging out with you again, and I'd appreciate it if you will share this message, like it, comment on it, and please subscribe to my channel.